Hello, and welcome to Understanding Costs, Financial Aid, and Residency for Out-of-State Students. I am Carrie Franzetta from the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office, and I'm here today with my colleague from the Office of the Registrar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Harrison, and I manage the Residence Affairs Unit in the Office of the Registrar, where we evaluate students for tuition residency.
Before we get into the topics we're here to discuss today, I want to start off by extending our congratulations to all of you admitted students and to acknowledge the hard work that you put in to get here, and to recognize the other people in your life, family members, and supporters of all varieties who helped you along this journey. Deciding on a college is an important choice, and UC Berkeley offers an exciting undergraduate academic experience ranked among the very best in the world. And our goal for the time we have together today is to provide you with information that can help you make the most informed decision possible about attending UC Berkeley. Before we get started, I wanted to draw your attention to the land acknowledgement on the screen created by the American Indian Graduate Program.
UC Berkeley sits on the territory of
the Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land
of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people,
the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868.
Support local businesses owned by Native peoples.
Make a donation to the Shumi land tax, which directly supports Segura T's work of rematriation. We are still here.
We are still here.
We
are still here.
We are still here.
So here's the agenda for our presentation. First, I'll walk you through the estimated costs for 1 year at UC Berkeley as a non-resident student. Then I'll talk about applying for aid and the types of aid available for non-residents. I'll provide examples of how to compare costs between institutions and planning steps you'll want to take as you consider funding your education. Then I'll mention some scholarship and other funding opportunities that are available to non-residents, and I'll wrap up my part by sharing some information about special considerations for international students.
Then I will come in and provide you with a basic understanding of the residency for tuition process.
And before we dive in, I want to point out the QR code on this slide that will take you to a page with links to all of the resources we'll be mentioning during this presentation. Before we get into financial aid, it's important to understand the costs to attend a year at UC Berkeley. This slide shows the estimated cost of attendance and does not represent your actual costs if you come to Berkeley. The portion in green on this slide represents the direct expenses that will be charged to you by the university. Tuition and fees are a set amount that the university will charge you. For students who are not California residents, this also includes non-resident supplemental tuition of $34,200 a year. Housing and meal plans are a set amount that the university will charge you if you are living in university housing. The amount will vary based on which residence hall, university apartment, or family housing unit you're assigned. What's displayed here is an average cost based on the variety of residence hall options available. Health insurance is a requirement on this campus, so you either have your own or ours, but your health insurance coverage has to be equivalent or better than the university insurance. Indirect expenses represent estimates of what we think your cost could be for things not charged by the university over the 9-month academic year. Your actual costs for things like food outside of the dining hall, books and supplies, transportation, and other personal expenses will vary based on your unique circumstances. This slide shows only the estimated costs for living in the campus residence halls, but you can also find other cost estimates for living in an on-campus apartment, off-campus apartment, or living with relatives on the student budgets page of our website. Now let's talk about applying for aid. Citizens and eligible non-citizens apply using the federal free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. You must submit a FAFSA every year to be considered for financial aid. It's a yearly application. The Federal Student Aid Estimator is a tool that you can use to find out how much federal student aid you may be eligible for, either before you file your FAFSA or while you wait for your FAFSA to be processed. This tool will provide an estimate of the Student Aid Index, or SAI, as well as an estimate of Pell Grant eligibility. But it's important to note that this tool is not the FAFSA form. Our goal here in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office is to identify whether you qualify for federal financial aid and to help you receive all of the aid that is currently available to you. This slide displays the types of aid that can be offered to non-resident students at UC Berkeley. Students who complete the FAFSA can be eligible for federal awards such as the Pell Grant, Federal Work Study, and Federal Student and Parent Loans. If your financial aid offer includes a Parent Plus loan, please be aware that all Plus loan applications are subject to a credit check. If the loan is denied, your family needs to be prepared to find alternate funding sources. International students are not eligible for these federal aid programs. Students who are not residents of California are not eligible for our need-based institutional grants or most scholarships we have to offer at UC Berkeley. Regents and Chancellor scholarships are awarded in conjunction with the admissions process. Students are invited to interview for this scholarship and are notified of selection when admissions decisions are released. Some academic departments may award scholarships, and you can check with your department to find out about scholarship opportunities. Prizes are administered under the direction of the Academic Senate Committee on Prizes, and each contest requires a unique application. Lastly, private resources represent funding that you bring with you to college. Our students bring in over $16 million in outside scholarships every year to help fund their education. I'll talk a bit more about scholarships and prizes in a few slides. When you do start to receive financial aid offers from UC Berkeley and other schools, you'll notice that different schools may display financial aid differently, so it can be somewhat confusing to compare offers. All schools who award federal financial aid are required to provide you with a college financing plan that's standardized and is populated with their costs and your award information. You can use your college financing plan shown here to do an apples-to-apples comparison from one school to another. Your UC Berkeley college financing plan will be available in your Cal Central portal once you have received your UC Berkeley financial aid offer. As you compare offers between institutions, it's likely that some institutions may offer you more gift aid, that's grants and scholarships, than others. I have to emphasize here that UC Berkeley is a public institution and does not negotiate financial aid offers based on offers you may have received at other institutions. That said, if we don't have all of the information about your family's financial situation, or you need to make a correction to your aid application, contact us via Cal Student Central so we can discuss a reassessment of your need for federal financial aid. It is important to note that institutional funds to cover non-resident expenses are not available and recalculations or financial aid appeals typically do not result in the offering of need-based institutional gift aid to non-resident students. We encourage you and your family to develop a multi-year plan to meet your educational costs until the time you graduate from UC Berkeley. This should include creating a spending plan to determine how much you may need. You'll want to review your budget by the term or the academic year, and then add up all of the sources of financial aid, excluding work study or loans, and compare the two figures to determine how much you may need to borrow in student loans. Some alternatives to borrowing are earning funds through the work study program, if eligible, and outside scholarships. Additionally, you may choose to enroll in the tuition and fee payment plan, which allows you to pay fall or spring semester tuition and fees in 5 monthly installments. You can sign up for the fee payment plan via your Cal Central account. We have a tool available for you that can help walk you through the calculation and comparison of costs and awards that I mentioned on the previous slide. And you can use this to help determine how much you may need to borrow. As I mentioned a few slides ago, scholarships are sources of funding that can help offset your costs. A common misstep is that students wait to apply for scholarships or even think about outside scholarships until they are ready to make a college decision or after they've arrived on campus, when it's too late to impact the current year. Scholarship applications typically open in October or November for the following year, and deadlines can be year-round, so don't wait to search for and apply for scholarships. Look for scholarships with criteria specific to you, such as your interests, hobbies, clubs, and special circumstances. I want to emphasize that you should never pay money to apply for scholarships or give out your sensitive information as part of the scholarship application process. You may want to consider researching options available through your community, employers, and other local organizations, as well as some of the other resources listed on this slide. The resources page for this presentation includes a link to the scholarship search page on our website that lists a variety of tools to help you search for outside scholarships. Lastly, UC Berkeley does not participate in the institutional program associated with the National Merit Scholarship. If you are awarded a National Merit Scholarship, we will process your award as an external scholarship. Now I'd like to highlight a few scholarship opportunities uniquely for UC Berkeley students made available by the California Alumni Association. The Leadership Award and the Cal Alumni Association Native American Scholarship are programs available to students at UC Berkeley, including non-residents. You can learn more about these opportunities on the CAA Alumni Scholars Program page linked on the resources page. Final opportunity that I want to mention today is the Prizes and Honors Program at UC Berkeley. This program rewards creative expression and scholarly achievement. Winners receive both recognition and a cash prize, which is coordinated with the winner's financial aid package. We have a number of competitive prize contests open to students of any major, and copies of the selected submissions are archived in our library. Additionally, the University Medal is awarded to the most distinguished graduating senior through our Prizes and Honors program. I'll wrap up my section by providing some information specifically for international students. All F1 and J1 international students are required to show proof of funding sufficient to cover their costs for a minimum of 1 year, with the expectation that they will continue to have access to comparable funding for each year of their UC Berkeley education. As I mentioned earlier, international students are ineligible for federal, state, and need-based university financial aid. We recommend using the resources previously mentioned to apply for scholarships from private organizations and to check in with your academic department to see if they may offer scholarships for incoming students. The Berkeley International Office has information for international students about limited financial resources available for international students who have the most financial need and who have experienced a significant and unexpected change in their financial situation. The Berkeley International Office also provides information about bringing money to the U.S. from abroad and banking in the U.S. for international students. From here, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Chris.
Thank you, Carrie. Now we'll take a look at the basic process for understanding residency and how you might become a resident for tuition purposes at UC Berkeley. Next slide. Okay, so for those of you seeking a resident classification in the future, you would have the burden of proof of satisfying the Big Four criteria of immigration, physical presence, intent, and financial independence by the residency determination date, or the RDD. The residency determination date is always the first day of instruction for a given semester. For example, for fall 2024, the first day of instruction is August 28th, 2024. That is the residency determination date as well for fall 2024. And for spring 2025, the first day of instruction is January 21st, 2025. That is the residency determination date for spring 2025 as well. Next slide. First requirement would be immigration. And the initial question that most students ask is, can a non-US citizen be a resident? And the answer is yes, unless that person's immigration status prevents them from establishing legal residence in the United States. For a list of our visas and immigration statuses that are eligible for establishing residency, you can go to the registrar.berkeley.edu website and select the link to tuition fees and residency, and then the link to immigration. The most common ineligible visas that we've seen are F1 and J1. Neither of those are eligible to qualify for tuition residency. Next slide. The second requirement is physical presence. Student and both parents, if married, must be physically present continuously in California for at least 366 days prior to the residency determination date, or RDD. If a student and or parent has absences that exceed a cumulative total during that period of 6 weeks, they will not meet the physical presence requirement. Next slide. The third requirement would be legal indicia of intent. These are documents that demonstrate that you and your parents have acted as California residents over the previous year leading up to the residency date of determination. These documents that we will collect include all state and federal tax returns for the previous year, all W-2s for the previous year, California driver's license or state ID card, a California vehicle registration if you own a car, and a California voter's registration if you vote. Next slide. Now, the deadlines for acquiring intent is always the end of the previous term of the one to which you would be applying. For example, for fall 2024, you would have to acquire your intent by the end of fall semester 2023, which would be December 15th, 2023. And for spring 2025, you would have to acquire your intent by the end of spring 2024, which would be May 10th, 2024. Next slide. The last requirement would be financial independence. And the way that you would meet that would either be to turn 24 by December 31st of 2024, or you demonstrate that you are financially dependent on your natural or adoptive parents who are California residents, or you would be considered financially independent by the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office, i.e. you might be deemed an orphan or an emancipated minor or a foster youth or homelessness. Or you would demonstrate that you are financially independent and that you have used your own wages, savings from earnings, financial aid, eligible college saving plans, and eligible irrevocable trust accounts, i.e. UTMA, UGMA, or 529 savings plan to fund your education over the previous year leading up to the residency determination date. And that concludes my portion.
Thanks, Chris. I'll wrap up now by sharing how you can contact us. Cal Student Central is our frontline service center for all things financial aid, registration, billing, and payments. We encourage you to start at the website listed under number 1, studentcentral.berkeley.edu, to find more information. If you can't find what you're looking for, you can also try our chatbot. Lastly, you can click on Services and Support, circled here in this slide, for a link to the virtual front desk and for opening a case. As you might imagine, the wait time on the phones and the response time to online cases does increase during our peak periods, which are now this part of spring and when classes begin each semester. We encourage you to utilize the resources we shared in the previous slides to get started and plan ahead as much as possible.
Once again, congratulations to all of you. Thank you for taking the time to hear us out, and go Bears.
Go Bears.